You know that corner of your room, the one with the half-finished painting, the ukulele you swore you'd learn, the stack of books on ancient philosophy, and that sourdough starter you named Brad. If that sounds painfully familiar, you might be one of us. You're the person who gets a spark of inspiration, dives headfirst into a new hobby for 3 intense weeks, and then a new shiny object appears. Suddenly, pottery is everything, and last week's obsession, it's gathering dust with the others. People might call you flaky, unfocused, or a jack of all trades, master of none. But what if this isn't a flaw? What if it's a sign of a unique and powerful psychological wiring? Today, we're diving deep into the minds of those with too many interests. Let's start with the first type, the explorer. Picture this. You're watching a documentary about deep-sea diving. The next thing you know, you've spent 6 hours researching diving certifications, wetsuit brands, and the best coral reefs in Southeast Asia. You don't necessarily want to become a professional diver for life. You just want to know what it feels like. The explorer isn't driven by mastery. They're driven by experience. Their primary motivation is curiosity. Psychologically, this is linked to a trait called openness to experience, one of the big 5 personality traits. These individuals have a high need for novelty and a low tolerance for boredom. Their brains are wired to seek out new information and sensations. It's not about finishing, it's about starting. Each new interest is a new world to discover, a new map to briefly explore before moving on to the next uncharted territory. The joy is in the journey, not the destination. Sound like you? Then there's the visionary. This person doesn't just see a hobby, they see an entire identity. They don't just want to learn guitar. They imagine themselves on stage, captivating an audience. They don't just start a blog. They envision a media empire with a podcast, a book deal, and a loyal community. The visionary is a dreamer, fueled by the intoxicating potential of what could be. The psychological engine here is future-oriented thinking and a powerful imagination. They fall in love with the best-case scenario. The problem, reality, is messy. Learning an instrument involves sore fingers and frustrating plateaus. Building a brand takes years of thankless work. When the tedious reality doesn't match the glorious vision in their head, they can become disillusioned. The excitement fades, and they jump to the next grand vision, hoping this time the reality will live up to the dream. It's not a lack of passion. It's a mismatch between their idealized future and the grind of the present. Next up, we meet the identity seeker. This person is on a quest, but not for a skill. They're looking for themselves. Each new interest is an attempt to answer the question, who am I? Maybe if I become a minimalist, I'll feel calm and in control. Maybe if I learn to code, I'll feel smart and successful. Maybe if I get into rock climbing, I'll be seen as adventurous and brave. Their hobbies are costumes they try on, hoping one will finally feel like a perfect fit. Psychologically, this often stems from a less defined sense of self, common in younger years, but possible at any age. They're using external activities to build an internal identity. The constant switching happens because no single hobby can define the beautiful complexity of a whole person. Once they realize that being a yogi or a baker is just one small facet of who they are, not the entire answer, the pressure is off, and they might even stick with it for the pure enjoyment. But what if the reason is a bit more minutious? Let's talk about the potential maximizer. This person is haunted by a fear of missing out, or FOMO, but for skills and knowledge. The world is full of fascinating things to learn and do, and time is running out. They feel an intense pressure to absorb as much as possible, to become a Renaissance person. They want to speak 3 languages, understand quantum physics, play the cello, and invest in cryptocurrency all at once. This isn't just curiosity, it's a race against the clock. The underlying psychology is often a blend of ambition and anxiety. They fear choosing one path because it means closing the door on a million other possibilities. What if they pick the wrong thing? What if their true calling was actually interpretive dance, and they wasted their life learning to bake? By keeping all their options open, they never have to commit and risk regret. The paradox is that in trying to do everything, they sometimes struggle to achieve deep satisfaction in anything. So, if you're someone with a graveyard of abandoned hobbies, don't be so hard on yourself. You're not necessarily flaky or unfocused. You might be a curious explorer, a big dreaming visionary, an introspective identity seeker, or an ambitious potential maximizer. Each type has its own incredible strengths: creativity, adaptability, boundless imagination, and a hunger for life. The key isn't to force yourself to be a master of one. It's to understand your own psychological drivers. Embrace your love of learning, but maybe try to finish one small project before buying supplies for the next. Or just accept your nature as a beautiful, chaotic whirlwind of curiosity. After all, a life full of interesting beginnings is far from a boring one. Which type resonated with you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.